Reese is going to be speaking to us about the benefits of using community catalyst within our health and social care system. And I think I'll probably leave the rest for you to explain then, Reese. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm, and thank you, Jenny and Christine. Yeah, good to see you all again. And yeah, it's I think it's a really good sort of intro into the work that we're doing and the challenges that we all face. So hi everyone, I'm Reese. As Malcolm explained, I'm a senior catalyst for a small social enterprise called Community Catalysts, and we as an organisation work increasingly in Wales, but in about 40-50 different areas of the UK, supporting the development of the micro care and support marketplace. So I don't know if people here have heard of micro providers or community enterprises or community micro enterprises, but that is what we support. And I think it feeds really nicely into the conversation that we've just had, because you know, we talk about all the challenges that we find, and I think hopefully we can all agree that the biggest solution to some of the challenges that we face lie in small community resources and solutions and the assets we have, and we've talked about how do we build the trust and relationships and the networks to nurture and support and develop these enterprises and people out there with good ideas to make a difference in their community. And really that is the core mission and the core aim of Community Catalysts. We exist to try and ensure that people, you know, wherever they live in Wales, can get the best possible choice of local, flexible, responsive care and support services. And I just want to take sort of 15-20 minutes of your time just to explain to you a little bit about the journey, a bit about Community Catalyst, what we've been doing in Wales. You might tell Rhys Davis, all my family are from West Wales, but I'm based in Somerset, and over the last 6 years in Somerset, we've been on a journey to develop the micro care and support marketplace, particularly around domiciliary, home help, home care type services. So I just want to share with you around the sort of scale, scope, considerations for developing the micro care and support marketplace, what factors there are needed for success, and I think there'll be lots of areas that are sort of aligned with things that Jenny and Chris mentioned. And actually, it's funny you mentioned actually in Somerset, I think the success of Somerset, where we now have sort of 700-800 community micro enterprises offering people choice and control, is because we had you know, CLS do a lot of work with our operational teams to give them the trust and the permission to make those changes and to use, you know, think differently about how they were able to support people. And run alongside that, you know, obviously we developed the micro enterprises and went forward. So the links with the previous discussions are very live and very well. So and this also feeds in very closely with all of your work in Wales around the foundational economy. I know you are leading the way, and it dovetails lovely with that. So let me just get my slide up here. So the focus of today will be around a little bit about the home care type stuff. So Community Catalyst. So if you're happy to go on to the next slide. Okay, yeah. So just a tiny bit about Community Catalysts. Many of you might have heard of us. We work, you know, in and through communities, and worked at, I suppose, in probably 40-50 different areas now to you know, work to support the development of community enterprise. You know, we believe passionately in social innovation, collaboration, and shaking things up a bit, really. And it's really built on a bit of dynamic engagement, networking, and actually doing all those things that actually within commissioning it's very hard to have the time to do. So I'm very lucky as a catalyst. That was my role, to get in there and mix it up a bit and find people with good ideas and connect them with the system to identify alternatives. Okay, thanks, Claire. So when we talk about community enterprise, so lots of people micro providers, community enterprises. We will support anybody who is small, who is totally independent and provides help, care or support to other people. We focus on micro enterprise because we think care is best when it's local, when it's flexible, when it's responsive, when it's small, when you can build those real relationships with local people. But we recognise that those exact people face the biggest challenges for setting up and develop, and establishing and sustaining their services. We know, as we've just talked about, that commissioning, procurement, and our systems aren't always micro-friendly, and I suppose we as a system have a challenge of how do we work with these. We want to, but how do we do it? How do we make the link with these small organisations? And so that's why, as an organisation, we focus on micro enterprise. Like I say, it's that's the advantages of micro enterprises are obvious to people, and I don't think we probably need to go into that here, but it's about actually making personalization happen, and the fact that good life to you will be very different than a good life to me. So I want a choice, thank you, and we want to give choice and control to everybody in Wales. Okay, yeah. So there we are. That's sort of. That's the vision, I suppose, in Wales. Okay, Claire. So and one more, thank you. So this slide here, this is our sort of bridge to choice, and I think this is the slide. I don't know if you can all see it here because it's quite small, but it's this, and I think this actually links very closely with Jenny and Chris's work around actually. Here is the challenge. We want to give people real control over that care and support. We want to give them the trust and the permission to take their budgets, to be flexible, to use community resources and assets. But how do, and we also, know that there are local people out there who are passionate about making a difference, who have good ideas, and actually who very often are very frustrated with the care system out there. And how the two shall meet is the mission, really. Community Catalyst, Andrew at Community Catalyst made this lovely bridge to choice diagram here, which is about saying actually here are the ingredients that need to be in place. And at Community Catalyst, we have an advice framework. We try and sort of demystify and support local people with good ideas to understand the rules, the regulations, the context, in Wales, and try and create the best possible shop window so that people with personal budgets, people who are looking for support, professionals, families can go shopping. Okay, but in order to do that, people must know what support is available. People must be able to trust that support. And we need to get in the way of, you said the blockers, the control. I think that was so all of the ingredients, I think we probably don't even need to talk about too much, because I think we covered them in the last conversation. But for us as a catalyst and me as a catalyst, our role is quite similar to Chris and Jenny's, but would be working more in the community to try and bring these people with ideas to the system to try and shake things up and change them a little bit. Okay, so okay, Claire. Okay, so like I say, community catalyst, what local authorities essentially commission when they use community catalyst is it's usually, so for me, for example, for me, I was employed as a local catalyst in Somerset, and I was inducted and trained in all of the legal, regulatory, the specialist areas of the health and care system, so that I could helpfully discuss and help people to understand it, and help people to set up their enterprises according to best practice. We have a what's called doing the right quality standard, so we ensure people are set up, so that they are safe, they are quality, and they're not going to let people down, essentially. Okay, and so that is the approach. So on one hand, it's supporting the enterprises, and on the other hand, it's working with the system to make it as micro-friendly as possible, so that people, things like direct payments, things like money flow can work. Okay, so thanks, Claire. So, like I say, my background, it obviously was, and I'm phoning here from Somerset, and in Somerset for the last 6 years, we have been supporting the development of community or micro enterprises. And I suppose as a local catalyst, I didn't know. I was excited about the opportunity, because we I think we all on this call know that there are people in communities who are frustrated, who have ideas, who have said, oh, wouldn't it be good if we did this? Or wouldn't it be good if we did that? And I thought, oh, finally got an opportunity to turn those, so help support people to turn those ideas into real enterprises. And so that was, that was the excitement there. And like I said, it was a partnership between the council and Community Catalyst, and we got in there and we got networking, and it's funny, it's great that Jenny and Chris on, because Jenny, we did culture change workshops with social workers together. We had a sort of two-pronged or a three-pronged attack really, where we would support around doing things differently, trying to give the workers the trust and the permission, but also giving the enterprises the trust and permission to try it, test it. Let's see, if we can do things there. And we had lots of networking events, meet the micro events, to suddenly and slowly but surely in Somerset, people became alive to not only the opportunity, but the value and the impact and outcomes that community enterprises delivered. Okay. So we have people like Heather. So people say, who are them? So typically in Somerset, we work with sole traders, people who had a personal or professional experience of the caring role. And Heather here is, well, she still is, she's part-time mental health social worker and part-time Heather at home. And she's amazing. And she offers all sorts of support to people in her community of South Petherton. And she is actually employed by 5 hours a week by South Petherton Parish Council to be the link worker, to be the coordinator. So if people need help in the parish, they go to Heather now, and she can link people in with local resources. And so Heather's a bit of a poster girl for community enterprise in Somerset, but she didn't know where to start or how to go about it. And that was our role, is to give her, and actually, not just the tools, but the confidence and the permission and the links to test it and try it out. Okay. This is very old, this slide, but obviously we have more enterprises. So in 3.5 years, we had 283 new providers in Somerset through this work. And actually, it was a snowball effect, because as you can imagine, people work for yourself or able to make a difference. We were able to create the conditions for enterprises to thrive fairly early in Somerset. Not actually quite a lot to do with the support that Jenny and Chris did around getting the system ready for this development. And so, we had a huge increase in the amount of people taking the upper direct payment, because suddenly people had a new menu to choose from, which is all very exciting. And I suppose it's a bit scary now, but after 6 years, we now have over 800 enterprises. So we have a, community enterprise is absolutely business as, in the business as usual for the operational teams. Direct payment rates are on the increase, direct payment numbers are on the increase, and people are saying there is another way to provide help, care and support in Somerset. And so that's still part of my job. So I do 3 days for Somerset, 2 days for Community Catalyst at the moment. Okay, thanks, Claire. So the impacts in Somerset are huge, but the biggest bit is capacity. We talk, this is about celebrating home care. We know the biggest challenge is workforce, recruitment and retention. We have had, just this last year alone in Somerset, 380 since June, 380 inquiries from people who want to set up a service. And these are people who are not coming from domiciliary home care. It's sort of between 20%. I think only about 25% of people are coming directly from existing roles, but lots of people are trying to do it alongside childcare commitments. Lots of people like Heather are nurses or retired nurses, or people just saying, I want to make a difference and use my skills, use my experience. And so we are found, there is a whole a sort of another marketplace of people who just who are perfect for this role, and obviously we provide the advice, the support, the guidance in order to set up and and the impacts are real. Okay, thanks, Claire. And I suppose early on, we've been put in contact with a lot of people who use micro providers. There's a YouTube video that was created by us, sort of featuring Vanessa, and Vanessa was somebody who was organising care for her husband Jerry, and she said, I want consistency. I want the same people. I want to have my team, and I want to know who's coming and when, and I want to build up a relationship with them. And she wanted to take choice, to take control over her care. And so she started using community micro enterprises. And this is, and this is her story. She sees them. I'm still in contact with Vanessa, and she still has a relationship with those micro providers now. And she, she wouldn't think twice about coming on here and telling you about it, I'm sure. But that was just a little story, a little sort of quote from Vanessa about, the impact that micro providers made to her and her life. Okay, thank you, Claire. So I suppose the key question is, how do you go from, how do you create that marketplace? And I think the key ingredients have been talked about in the previous bit. It's about networking, it's about trust, it's about getting out there. We talk, the role of a catalyst is to get out there in pubs and Weatherspoons and and all over the place, and actually bring providers together. And whilst what we do at Community Catalyst is good, actually it's a poor replacement for bringing together people who are doing it with people who are thinking of doing it with social workers. So it is all about facilitation. And so, we facilitated lots of networking events, and we still do, to bring together the local peer networks in Somerset and in other areas. Okay, so there's another picture there of some of the work, and actually, it's been a real privilege of mine to do work in Pembrokeshire, where all my family are based, and we are now sort of flying in Wrexham and Powys, and we've just started in Denbighshire, so it's working alongside the community-led support work in Denbighshire as well. So, and I think we're looking to start working in a few other areas as well. And in Wales, people are connected. In Wales, there are enterprising people everywhere, and actually we are seeing the conditions are right to develop this foundational economy and to ensure people are setting up and and doing it right. So so it's exciting times, and we, like I say, happy to talk to there's us, but there's other people who are doing it. We just want it to happen, in effect. So I'm happy to speak to anybody who's interested in this sort of growing and developing workforce. I mean, the stats here don't look amazing at the moment, but it's about creating the conditions for enterprises to thrive initially before you can scale up. So all these contracts are well under a year old, and obviously with COVID, it's challenging as well. Okay, thanks, Claire. So so again, here are the areas of support that Community Catalyst help with. Regulation, big one, speaking with CIW regularly around sort of the regulatory framework and how to support enterprises to be compliant and fit in and become registered where necessary. Working with the council, so the culture system change, all the stuff that the NDTI were talking about. Again, we work in partnership with them to actually how to support money flow and culture to release that control and to use these community resources, community assets. But also we need people to be confident. We need families and professionals. If these people are not setting up right, nobody's going to use them, and they won't build a reputation for delivering quality services. So our role is to set up and set a standard and support people to meet it, and develop a community of practice that is going to uphold those standards ongoing. Okay. So this is obviously I'm from Somerset. I'm passionate about it because I've seen it work, but there have to be the right conditions for enterprises to thrive. And again, I think this sort of links in with a lot of Jenny and Chris's work around saying actually you need the right factors in place. So if you're in an area where you want change, you're committed to an asset-based, strength-based approach. You have or want strong partnerships with the voluntary sector and the marketplace, and are willing to do something different. And like we said, be a bit disruptive. Then this may be a good option for you. Okay, thanks, Claire. Oh, there we are. There we are. That's the answer. That's me, r.davis@communitycatalyst.co.uk. Happy to answer any questions or have a just general chat if people have got any questions around that. So thank you. Thanks, Malcolm.
Thank you, Rhys. Thank you very much. Very interesting.